Yo, what's up, Wolf? How's it going, man? Let me just fix this here. Boom, boom. Yo, all right. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hello and welcome to episode 392 of the Center Ring Esports podcast. And this is going to be the best episode ever because we have IEM Cologne, the major that is not a major, to recap. We'll discuss everything about that, as well as Yikes of the Week and e-news. But before we get to that, this episode is sponsored by your mom.
Hello, this is Machine. You're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of the Centering, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date is 7/18/2022. The time is 9:04 p.m. Central Time for all you fact checkers out there. My name, what do I normally say? Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at the Center Ring. Join the Discord. Be a part of the conversation. Blah, blah, blah. My name is Tim. I'll be your captain for this journey into esports. And alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Your Fortnite caster friend, Tim. Anuj.
Hoo.
Did you know I casted a Fortnite event this past week?
I mean, I just figured that was just a natural thing you do all the time.
It's a weekly thing for me
You're
now.
such
at
a
this point.
Fortnite expert. I just figured that's what you do in your free time.
The tournament was no build mode, so I think I'm close enough to an
Right.
expert with our
Okay.
hours that we put
That
into
is
it.
true.
Fortnite gave you some good news this week too, by the way.
Well, how you're bearing the lead. How did the casting go?
Dude, the casting was great. We did it. It was through work. It was a work event. We had about 25 teams sign up. When I say it was a work event, we're partnered with the American Cancer Society, so all the money that gets donated throughout the event, teams signing up, all that goes to ACS and their American Cancer Society, and we've donated over $1 million in the past 13 years to them, which is pretty cool. And so they've had me on before, and I got to host and cast for about 2 hours, and we had a really good time. It was fun, and the thing is, they talked to me about esports during the event, so it's almost like doing a little mini show because we cover
Right.
a broad range of esports while the event is going on, and then we cast for 5-10 minutes, and then we talk about esports for 5-10 minutes, and so it was a good time.
Good. That sounds fun. That sounds
Yeah.
fun. I almost died. Well, so while you were casting Fortnite, your boy almost did not make it to episode 400.
What do you do, walk outside?
Boy, no. But if anyone's living in Texas, thoughts and prayers for us, because it is. Let's just play the game of it's 9 o'clock at night. Guess how hot it is. It's 99. The feels like is 101. At
It's 99 right now?
99. The feels like is 101 at 9 o'clock at night.
Bro.
That's brutal.
It's
Unlivable.
that's a cold front.
Tuesday is tomorrow is 112. I hate to be I don't want to be tweet about the weather guy, because it's we're all living it. I don't need to have my tweet out there. I feel that's very hey, everyone needs to know my thoughts guy.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how about this heat? As we're
all going through the same bullshit.
and
right
it's
now.
day 30 of 100 plus, you know?
Yeah,
So
for
you don't,
sure.
I don't need to tweet that it's snowing when it's snowing, because literally everyone else in the Metroplex is doing it. They all know it. But damn, how about this heat?
I have to go to a happy hour on Thursday, and usually I'm pretty excited for that. But I know the fact that I have to go outside for more than 10 minutes, it's kind of dreading it a little bit.
Dude, it's
How many? Okay, this is old man talk, guys. So we're gonna get into this for a second. How many times a week are you watering your yard right now?
Twice a week. But starting this week, I am going to. So we use the sprinkler system twice a week because it's what our HOA or the city allows. I think it's the city that allows it. I am gonna. You can do the hose if you do like a hose sprinkler more. So I'm gonna start doing that because my lawn is not going to see winter at this rate.
We were doing 3 times a week. About 2 weeks ago, I bumped it up to like 4 times a week now.
You don't get in trouble
My
for that?
yard, I mean, no one
Probably
said
if
anything.
someone said anything.
Yeah, but my yard's dying. Like nothing is surviving right now. My grass is all like
Yeah,
dying
no,
right now.
it's
I'm trying to sell this house. I can't have like dead grass everywhere. It's gonna look shitty.
look, man, at some point everyone just knows. It's like back in college in Texas, and it's like you walk into class and it's like your shirt's all wet because of sweat, and you look like you just got done running a marathon, but it's like no one cares because everyone's miserable. Like we're walking around a college campus in Texas, like we get it. It's just it's the nature of the beast. But this year's been especially bad.
It's just so terrible.
Branching off your old man talk, no. So I almost died. So as you know, I started working out, like actually working out last week.
I can see it. I think
On the webcam.
maybe it's just the way you look in a tank.
It's the tank, really. It's the tank. It's the tan. I've been in the pool, so it's just bouncing off the muscles. You know.
I'm 3 shades darker right now for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost like you, really.
Yeah.
It's people
I
watching.
didn't change the hue on my light.
No, like
It's just
people
me that
watching on
looks a little
streamers,
different.
like which one's Tim and which one's Anuj. It's it looks so the same.
All right, so tell me, how did you almost die?
So I'm working out in my garage, doing a little bit of elliptical, doing a little bit of weights, and then I look over. I'm like, you know what? My hockey roller skates, my inline skates are sitting there, and I haven't skated in a few years.
Yeah.
Let alone on rollerblades. On ice, I've skated more recently, and ice skating is way easier than rollerblade, I think, because it's just working the edge is. I guess once you do ice, going back to like wheels, you're like, how the fuck do you turn
For
in
sure.
these things?
I think just like the transitioning back. I mean, ice would be easier right now, I think, for me too, just to like get on and go
Right.
skate.
Yeah. Unless you're on like a real inline hockey rink where it's like the floor's a
yeah.
little softer and whatever. But no, I'm on my garage. So I'm like, I put on the skates, I stand up, I start going, okay. I'm like, all right, this is, and it's the garage. It's not very big. So I'm like having to constantly like stop and turn and whatever, and everything's going fine. Well, keep in mind, these skates have been sitting in my Texas garage for years, untouched. So obviously, as heat does to plastic, it makes it quite bitter, or what's it called? Brittle. They break easy, right?
Yeah.
I decide to take a hard left turn. Instantly, the guard on my left skate just breaks right off.
Oh my god.
And that holds all the support in the boot.
Yeah. It's gone.
All the support in the boot gone.
Did the ankle just fold?
Dude, my left ankle turned into a wet noodle, and I just bit it on the cement. Like, thank God my arm was already in like a position where it like braced myself, or I'd be dead. My head would have smacked that floor, and my wife wouldn't found me until the morning when she came to look.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's the good thing is that's not your fault. Right?
It's not.
The
No.
only thing that could be your fault is maybe you've put on a few pounds since last time you put on the skates. Right?
The skates were going through a stress test. That's for sure.
I can't hate on you because you put on the skates to get back into that hockey shape, right? So unfortunate, but I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're here this week. I need you this week. We got 2 episodes this week, so it's a big week for us.
Yeah, so we'll touch on that. So as everyone knows, or maybe not, but 400 will be our last weekly episode for foreseeable future. Never say never. Maybe we'll come back as a different show. Maybe 400 is when the Center Ring Esports podcast dies, and maybe we come back and do something else. Who knows? I'm a narcissist, and I like to talk about things and hear myself talk, so it's just in my nature. I'll probably do something, but who knows? Who knows? Never say never. But in order to get to where we need to be, when we need to be, we're going to have to start doubling up shows. So, because we're on a clock, which we've mentioned it. We can say why, right?
Yeah, we can say why.
Anuj has baby number 2 coming. So we got to get it done before baby number 2 to avoid any unnecessary delays.
baby number 2 could be coming early, so that's why we have a little bit of change in scheduling.
Right.
We want to get to the number. It's more of a pride thing for us, I think, at this point. Like, we want to get to 400.
Oh yeah, I mean that's
There's
1,000% it.
the only thing that's sad about this, Tim, is did you know we're about to be on a Counter-Strike break for like a
I
month?
heard that we are on like a player's break, but maybe that's just they're going in mourning because they heard that we were stopping.
Like, yeah, it's more of a yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So they were like, guys, we got to take a break here. We can't emotionally push through this. So that being said, the good news is we're doubling up episodes, but we're paying less attention to esports. Therefore, we're pretty much bringing back all these old segments that we used to do on a regular basis when we had more time to figure things out. So next episode, we're talking Call of Duty. So this one we won't be talking Major 4. We're saving that for this, I think Wednesday night is when we're recording it.
Yep.
We will also be reviewing the first, maybe second. We'll see how far I can make it in the new Resident Evil show on Netflix. So we'll do a little TCR reviews on Wednesday night. So do your homework. Watch at least episode 1 of Resident Evil. Anuj went ahead of me. He watched episode 1, and I was like, well, let's do it on the whole season. And he was like, no. 1 is enough. 1 is enough. So we're going to do at least the first episode review and see how that goes. And then from there, we'll figure it out. I think we're going to do another...
we got Valorant coming the following Monday because we're going to have the Masters. And so we got some fun stuff to talk about. We're just going to break it down into a couple of episodes here.
Just like old time's sake, right?
Yeah.
When we used to do 2 episodes, we broke things up, we spread it out. Same thing for those long-time listeners. You know how this goes.
And let's be real. Today's episode with Counter-Strike gives us plenty to talk about.
Look, and we got to do yikes, so I don't want to get into Counter-Strike just yet. But the world of esports, you know what the world of esports needs to do? All right? Everyone needs to swallow that pill called pride and look at what traditional sports does and bend the knee to football, right? So, when football starts, Sunday's sports schedules always become a little bit more light. You don't see as many NHL or basketball games out on Sundays. You for sure don't see anything on Super Bowl Sunday. On Thanksgiving, that's football, right? I think NBA and college basketball might do something as well, but let's be real. We all know it's for football. Esports needs to do this. Like, I don't need anything else on my championship IEM Cologne Sunday. I don't need anything else on. Like,
did you switch though? Even
no, that's why
I think it's a disservice. Look, like, for it hurts the other esports because I don't even.
That's what I'm saying.
Tune in
like
to anything else.
People are like, "Oh, why aren't you talking Valorant or COD today?" It's because I didn't watch any. Because I was watching Counter-Strike for 7 hours yesterday. Like, you just, it's a disservice to yourself. It's a disservice to esports when you try to compete with IEM, not just Counter-Strike in general, but when you put it up against IEM Cologne and it's FaZe and Na'Vi, it's like, bro, I'm sorry, but I'm not. I just...
Attention is taken. I mean, I have to tell my kid the same thing.
Yeah, like, this is it. This is my Sunday.
Bro, like, little bro, it's Na'Vi FaZe. Like, you're going to have to watch some Coco today, you know?
Just a lot of... I did tell my wife I'm about one more championship Sunday away from buying another TV and putting it on top of the one in the living room and doing that power play. My only fear, though, is I think that would backfire on me, and I would just have 2 TVs with Coco Melon.
It would be like Moana and Coco on the show.
Right, like it would just be, now my kid thinks, great, this is awesome. Now I can have 2 different volcano videos. Like, it really would backfire on me. So, but I mean, yeah, we just need to stop playing ourselves here, okay? Like, stop trying to book everything up on Championship Sunday when you got a big event here, because I can only watch so much. All right, we'll save Counter-Strike, though, for a little bit. Let's get into Yikes of the Week. Did you want to take this first one?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if... I'm sure you saw this, because this is your bread and butter, but yes. Overwatch League has an Overwatch Season Madness event going on right now. And they tweeted out a picture, or a picture was tweeted out. I don't think they tweeted it out. I'm sure they did not want to share this.
No, it was actually former Dallas Fuel.
Yeah, like
former Dallas
I saw
Fuel
somebody
player.
tweeted it out. It was a picture of the setup, Tim. And, you know, we're in 2022. We've been doing esports for a while. Like, we're kind of out of the whole let's rent a hotel room and host an event type thing, especially for the bigger esports out there. And I would still consider Overwatch a bigger esport. It's not an indie game. You know, they got some cash.
I think that's
here.
safe to say.
Yeah, like I think they're doing okay. And so a picture was tweeted out of the event where they're going to be playing. Tim, these desks were about, I'm going to be generous and say the monitors were about 3 feet apart. They were back to back. Think of two just traditional gaming desks back to back. And these weren't even, sad enough, not even traditional gaming desks. Like they're like these curved desks. And like people don't usually play on that. I know some gamer desks have that look, but like most gamers are playing on a rectangle to square shaped desk and everything's right in front of them. So it wasn't even like a proper desk. They had them back to back. From what I've heard, the players are allowed to use any headphones they want. They're not making them use like sponsored headphones
like
at the event.
Soundproof jet engine level
So like
headphones.
somebody could technically be wearing, you know, not noise canceling headphones. You're going to be able to hear comms. You're going to be able to hear frustrations from other teams. Like, you're going to be able to hear a coach communicating. Like, I don't understand. And then they said they're not changing this. So I don't understand what the thought process was behind this.
So I have a few issues with the setup because it looks like they cleared out like the office I work at. Like, it looks like they cleared out an office building of cubicles and then decided to smack this in the middle of it, put up some tarp around them with a background and said, well, there we go. Here's our mid-season championship stage. This looks like honestly what we've seen in the past, like what players would use for a warm-up area. That's honestly what it looks like. But I'm not going to lie. A part of me loves this because this is so old school esports. You put them back to back. You can you stand up, and now we all know Overwatch players don't talk shit though. They're a bunch of little babies, so they're not going to stand up and talk shit. But they, they could if they wanted to.
It looks like a COD Challengers event.
Yes, it does. It looks exactly like a COD Challenger event. I love the old school vibes. If this wasn't a multi-million-dollar league, a $100 million league setup. Now, I have heard through the grapevine that, like, Overwatch League and Blizzard in general is just, they're struggling at the moment. They don't have the resources that they once had. They've laid off a bunch of people. Overwatch League obviously isn't pulling in what it used to, meaning it's not going to get the resources that it once used to. But I would also say, like, you got to spend money to make money. This is not making money. Like, this gets all those people who fuel and hate on Overwatch. They look at this and go, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Like, this looks about what I imagined the Overwatch League has come to.
It just feels cheap. Like, it feels like you cheaped out. It looks bad. I don't know if they're going to have camera. Like, I mean, I'm sure they'll have player cams. I don't know. The whole setup's just weird. It
looks like a player warm-up. Like, it almost maybe imagine.
It really does. Yeah,
like,
it looks like a team's warm-up room, right? Like, that's what they would be using.
I'm almost waiting for Blizzard to be like, Crimzo was the one who tweeted that, by the way. Crimzo was wrong, and this is just the warm-up. But I think he still plays for Boston, if I'm not mistaken. So, It looks
budget.
Thoughts and prayers for Overwatch League, because if this is what they're using for their mid-season madness event, we've been to the finals. This used to sell out stadiums, not like little arenas, stadiums. So,
and here we are.
Here we are in a conference room. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. In fact, I think the matches actually did start, and they do have player cams, and it does look pretty comical. Like, behind them, it is just this tarp.
Like, they didn't even rent the ballroom out.
Right.
They rented a conference room out. Yeah. Maybe there was no availability.
It's just weird. My yikes actually comes from not the world of esports, but sports. This is, I think it was baseball night in America. I think this was either like Sunday night, maybe.
Yeah.
New York versus Boston. Of course, I think it gives everyone outside tired head of New York and Boston, just because I think New York and Boston and ESPN loves to think everyone cares about this matchup, but in reality, no one outside of them
They
do.
play 27 times a year, so it's like not that.
Yeah, like I mean, I guess call me when something interesting happens, but it's like the rivalry. It's not there. Anyways, we'll get my attention though is when Fox Sports decides to put up their little B footage with graphics on there. You know, like typically if they're going like coming back or to a commercial, they'll show a little B footage of scenes in the
Pano
area
of the city and stuff like that.
Yeah, they'll put like graphics on.
Yeah.
Well, Anuj, I guess we have turned the corner on when is too soon to use 9/11 as a little B footage marketing tool. Because Fox Sports used the 9/11 memorial fountains, which are just square fountains that are basically where the tower stood, is what it was. And they used them. They put the team's logos over those fountains as far as like their graphics to show who was playing.
Like, it's like somebody needs sensitivity training here.
Like
like you got to
that.
understand. First of all, like, New York being one of the teams should understand this more than anybody, right? Like,
Well, and the planes came from Boston. Like in 9/11, the planes that crashed into the trade centers came from Boston. So then the fact that you have both these teams here,
like, there is a beautiful relationship that took place between 9/11 and real, like, traditional
Of course.
sports when it happened.
the Bush
during
first
that time.
pitch.
Yeah, the Bush first pitch. I mean, there's just so many moments, right? You think of the NFL and what they did, MLB. The Bush moment stands out probably the most to anybody. Like, there was that beautiful moment there that took place. This feels tacky. You know, that's what it just feels like. Hey, we're using this sentimental shot for a promotional moment, and it just feels tacky and wrong. And I'm just really surprised that nobody in like Q&A was like, hey guys, like, this is not going to test.
We don't need this one.
We don't need to do this. Like, why don't we just like highlight the names in the sky across the city or something?
Do the logos have to match up exactly with the fountains?
Yeah,
and it was one of those things too where I saw the graphic and I was like, what is that? I was like, no.
Yeah. It took me a second too, because I was like, they didn't know. That's not what they did. I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what they did.
This is coming from two guys that I feel like we normally don't get. Like, we normally don't care about things like this because we normally chalk it up to it's funny. But even this one, I'm like, yeah. Because
it feels tacky.
As someone who has recently, when I say recent, like within the last 5 years or so, right? 4 years, went to New York for the Overwatch League finals, and I went to the Trade Center memorials. Bro, that place, and I'm not from New York. I'm just
it's incredible.
Red-blooded American.
Yeah.
It is a moving area. Like, I don't get sentimental about things, but when I went to there, you take in the area and you see the names, and you're just like, you couldn't imagine. I mean, you can't imagine being there while it was happening. Like,
we were also at an age as when it was happening, we understood the magnitude, and like people younger than us will feel this way too. You can feel very emotional about it regardless of age. It's just it hits a little bit different because I so vividly can remember all that was going on
for the rest of my life. Like, when our kids are older and they learn about 9/11 in school, it will be crazy. I mean, I can tell you exactly where I was when it happened, how I found out about it, the next day after. I mean, I can tell you every detail about that day. So yeah, when you go to the memorial, it kind of brings all of that back. I got a little emotional just seeing everything. It's incredible. So my point of this is, like, it is too soon, I think, to use it for a sports graphics. Just a little too soon.
It's always going to be too soon. Like, you know,
like
it's been 20 years, so it's like technically been a long time. It just doesn't feel right to do.
Yeah, like, we're not showing Pearl Harbor sunken ships during the Hawaiian Bowl, right? Yeah. We're not like doing graphics with the windows of the sunken ships. So just a big yikes from Fox. But that being said, we do have some good dudes of the week. Good dude numero uno, Classy, which you explained to me prior to the show. I was a content creator formerly of The Mob.
Yeah, there were The Mob, which was like a meme group, super funny group of guys. They all got signed by 100 Thieves. Those contracts have ended and they've all moved on, but still like well known in that social media circle.
So apparently someone reached out to Classy COD fans saying, "Hey, I've never been to Champs, would love to go." Oh, look at you with a mob hat. Wow, they
Yeah,
must.
I actually got it.
Yeah, that's.
I got it a while ago when they were. I used to really enjoy their content when they were a group because they were actually like very funny and
Not
good
annoying.
comedic timing, and there was like four of them, so they did a good job of bouncing off one another.
So, anyways, a fan reaches out to him over social media and says, "Hey, I've never been to COD Champs. Can you help a brother out?" And Classy said, "Yeah, I'll get you the hookup." And boom, just like that, pays
Flew
for
them
this
out
fan
there.
to go to the stage 4 champions, and
Yeah.
pretty awesome. At first, I didn't know who Classy was, and I just assumed maybe he was part of the org or something. But now that you mentioned, like, no, he's not part of the org anymore. I'm like, wow, that is like a extra good dude. Like this just guy was just like, yo, I'm a millionaire. Let me pay this forward.
Let me just hook a dude up, and yeah, the guy made a sign for him that was shown on the stream randomly. When they were panning out to
Right.
the stuff, and so just a neat little moment, and want to recognize when people do good stuff.
Of course, good dudes always get recognized, and we always want to recognize one of our own, our buddy Nikki Tavik, longtime listener of the show. If you're in our Discord, you've probably seen him. Used to be a gamer at one point in time, but he's just never on anymore. But that's because he is busy shipping out for the Army today, tomorrow. I think today was his last day, and he's shipping out tomorrow. But he's definitely in the hotel room getting ready to ship. Tavik, if you're listening right now, shout out to you, sir. Best of luck in the Army. And I think just GG's in the chat for Tavik. That's
Thinking
awesome.
of you, man. Hope stay safe. We just hope it's a good experience for you, and you get what you're looking for out of it, man. So yeah, wish you all the best, and rooting for you, obviously.
And when you get back, maybe we can play some Battlefield 1. What's the good one? Because now that he's in the Army, he'll obviously be way better at the game.
Yeah, like we should take him into military sims after this. For
Yeah,
sure.
like I
maybe
like
even a Tarkov.
what's
type
a
thing,
squad?
Like
Squad is like the big
Squad,
military one
yeah.
that a lot of
Yeah.
the people play. So I want commands. I want. You think he could put that on his resume for the Army? Like, yeah, I played squad. I played a commander in Battlefield.
Dude was boss at Call of Duty. One of the best that I've ever played with.
And one of the only people, and maybe this is good dude of the week worthy as well, Tavik will be like one of the only people that I've ever met, unlike our friend Busey, who refused to believe the advantage of a controller over mouse and keyboard. Just refused it.
Yeah.
Once Tavik got a
Because he
gaming...
switched. He played both, like
Yeah, so
hardcore,
Tavik played controller. He was a scuff controller player. He was hardcore Call of Duty, trying to go pro in Call of Duty on a controller. Switched over to mouse and keyboard when he got the good enough gaming PC, and was like, oh God, like now I feel the difference. Like I can see. So then he switched back to a controller and was like, oh, this is stupid. Like now that he played both sides of it, he was like
wants to play on a PC, but understood there is a difference in Call of Duty.
Like he stopped. Yeah, he had to turn off cross-platform because he was like, this is I can feel the difference, the advantage of a controller player. Just it's there. So props to him for being like one of the only people on the planet that has played both, originally a controller homer, and made the conversion while also admitting I like mouse and keyboard more, even though I know I'm going to get stomped by controller players because of the aim assist. 90, not all the time. Cool down. I'm not saying all the time, but most of the time, the advantage is there. So
I hope he's a controller player out on the battlefield, so we're rooting for you.
That's right. All right, so there you have it. Good dude of the week. Let's get into some Counter-Strike with IEM Cologne as the Cathedral was back in full effect. I would like to, before we get into the finals, before we get into the matches, I just want to say there is nothing better in esports than Counter-Strike with a crowd. I mean, you forget that it was that big of a difference because we've gone 2+ years without big crowds, right? But now that they're coming back, and even not just for Counter-Strike, but other events, and you're starting to see them more, but I guess I really just realized it with Cologne and shit. Man, they make a difference. Like, even as a spectator at home, I was just getting hyped up. The casters are more hyped at big moments because they're feeding off the crowd. The crowd does their chants. You are having Navi and FaZe fans go at it. Incredible vibes.
Even different in this event, like compared to like the major? Because the major is hosted in different cities, maybe some cities that don't traditionally have big events there. So it's a first time audience or people are traveling in from all
Yeah.
over. Cologne's unique, right? Because it doesn't need to be a major and it's got that history, it's got that fan base, and they know how to light it up, man. Like those fans are awesome. And I mean, even the shenanigans going on in the crowd are like fun to see. Like, I don't know if you saw the guy opening loot
Yep.
boxes on his laptop,
Yep.
stuff like that. Like, it's just different and it feels different. The vibe is different. And even watching as a spectator, like, I can't imagine in the arena how the hype is when these big plays happen, but having that audience reaction live as I'm watching on stream also makes a difference for me as a viewer. So it's fantastic, and you're right, it absolutely just feels different.
So we can talk about the finals. Before we get to the finals, was there anything? I know we talked a little bit last time about. I don't even know how far we were in it last time. I think group stages were just about finished.
Group stages were done.
Group
We
stages
had
were
the playoff
done. We had
set.
the playoff set. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything outside of the finals that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I thought Astralis looked pretty decent to me. They didn't. It's never going to be the Astralis of old, obviously, right?
No, they're not.
And they did get 2-0'd by Navi, but they pushed Mirage to an overtime. That was unfortunate that it went to an overtime because I think they had like a 12-3 lead at half. Or maybe they were, what was it? Yeah, they had a 12-3 lead. That's what it was. 12-3 lead at half. So it really should have never felt like it went to an overtime, but still played Navi to the limit, I think, in that match. Played really well against Mouse. I was happy to see them do well because I do like that brand. Kind of it was sad to me the way SK or Luminosity just fell off, right? They just disappeared. They went from that juggernaut team that we saw for all those years, and then all of a sudden it was gone. I don't want to see that with, Astralis. I would like them to find a way to transition into a lineup that works, that can still be competitive. And I think they have that here. I think there'll still be potential changes to come, but I thought they played well in making it to the playoffs and getting on the stage. That has to feel a little bit like a win internally, I think, for them, and getting a win on stage, right? It wasn't just, hey, we made it there. We advanced and we lost to, at the time, the current number one in the world.
Well, and even just to get to playoffs, they lost to FaZe, right? They lost to FaZe 2-0 in groups, and then Navi 2-0 in playoffs. So it's at least they have that to hang their hat on, to be well, I mean, guys, we lost.
We lost to number 1 and 2, and
But
it's a clear number 1 and 2, right? It's not even they can think that they are at that level. Those guys are above everybody else at the moment.
Are you done with that one?
With that one, yes.
Okay, I want to ask you this about just the team in general.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I love Moses. Love him to death. But before we talk about this team, we got to get one thing situated, okay? The team that knocked out Liquid, how do you say their name? Before this event, how did you say their name? I was
under the assumption it was Movie Star Riders.
Okay. Now, either you and I are the only people on the planet that called them Movie Star Riders, because I did the same thing. And when I kept hearing Moses say, well, they were saying 5 different names, so I don't even think they know how to say it. It
was
names.
Movi or whatever.
They were saying Movi, Mavi, Movie. I think it's Movi. I don't like Movi.
I think it's Movi because there's no E.
There's no E. So. You're right. There is no E. I don't even know.
It's a Spanish team, so for it to be not pronounced the way I think it would be pronounced is
makes sense.
Probably accurate.
I always thought it was Movie Star, but
and I assume they've also done I would assume somebody like Moses has also done a little bit of research, right? It's not they learn how to say these player names beforehand because some of them are weird as heck, and
right. So we probably got that one wrong.
Yeah,
so
and that's okay. I'm not.
That's
it's
fine.
not like we freaking watch them ever outside of.
Fine, we'll call them Movie Star Riders. I think Movistar is a bicycle too. I think I googled it. I did some research when I was do I not know how to say this name? Okay, One name that Moses also says funny, which I will fight to the death that he does not say it right and we say it correct, is the player on Liquid that starts with the letter Y, on loan from Virtus Pro.
Yakindar?
Yakindar, I've even said Yakinder with an instead of an R.
But it's AR.
AR. Let me play this clip of how Moses says the name and just tell me if it sounds weird to you.
Deaths, Sun Pius with an op is aggressive, and Yekindar is going to pick his moment to pounce.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, like
That's
maybe he like just.
That's weird.
Yakindar.
He says
Yakindar.
You see, so like how you say.
Play it again. Play it again.
Okay.
Okay, look, hear me say it, and then let's hear him say it.
Okay, all right, and then
I'm saying it. Yakindar.
You guys are on the same level, so before you start talking, let me turn it down so you don't blow out people's
Okay.
ears. But let me rewind it here. What time is it at? 1B. All right.
Traded back by Deaths, Sun Pius with an op is aggressive, and Yekindar is going to pick his moment to pounce.
Yeah, you're saying Yakindar. Like
That's
it's
weird.
a little bit different. Yeah.
That's not right.
I'm going to go with Yakindar, but you know what?
Yakinder, yeah.
I don't give a damn. All these players got weird names.
All these guys
You
got
know?
weird names. Everyone says it differently. But
If you
that
want me to
was
say it right, make your name like, the dude on Movie Stars. Dets. That's easy. DEATH with double Z at the end. Gamer name, easy, basic, but you're gonna go weird with it.
Nitro. Boom. Easy.
Yeah.
Like
Look, the O is a 0. That's cool.
I get it.
Like,
I get it. So, man, he was saying, and it was almost like he was doing it on purpose. Like he said no other player's name more than he said Yakindar, but Yekindar. And I'm like, that is not right. Like, please, someone take a tech pause. Someone tell him that's not right.
what did you think about that series? Like, how do you come out of this? How do you feel as a NA fan?
As an NA fan, I'm a little upset, and I also am not buying into this. Like, when Movistar Riders won, I felt like the world was just blowing up, and their mind was completely blown that we have this Cinderella story because we know what saw this. They beat Liquid, guys. They beat Liquid
With a stand-in.
with a stand-in. Like, let's pump the brakes on the Cinderella story of Movistar Riders here, and let's just take a step back and realize what they accomplished. I'm not taking that away from them. They made it to the second round of the playoffs. They did incredible. But there were even chatter on stream. And I understand these talking heads like to say things just to, they got a lot of time to kill. But they were like, the way they're playing, they look like they could beat FaZe. Get out. Just get out. Like, give me a break. They beat Liquid 2-1.
Look, I'm still disappointed, even though Liquid, again, was playing with relatively, I'm guessing, limited practice time. And
yeah, even though, Yakindar says
he should have won just based on experience, I feel. Like, they're on such a big stage. These are players that have played on this particular stage before, let alone so many other big stages with majors and Katowice, you name it. This Liquid roster, for the most part, has been there, right? Nitro, Elige, NAF, Yakindar has done it with VP on several occasions. So this is more of just a veteran team, and I feel like they should have found a way to win. Like, they got dominated by Sun Pius. Like, Sun Pius destroyed them. He was only 2 players went positive on Movi. Dets was one at +9, and then Sun Pius was +25. Everybody else was in the red for them. They really let him control the game with the op. He absolutely butchered them on Ancient, just had his way with them.
Liquid was never in it on Ancient. Never.
No, they were never in it. And even on Vertigo, it never really felt close to me. Vertigo never really felt like it was down to the wire and Liquid was going to be able to push through. I felt like they were always scrapping and clawing to just keep it within striking distance, but never really striked, and so I'm disappointed with them. I'm happy for Movistar, right? Like it's a
Right.
great win for them to get a win on that stage with that roster on an all Spanish team. That's like, doesn't happen.
I think
So
that's kind of the
cool for
coolest
them.
storyline, right? Is are we seeing another region pop up? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. I hope so. That would be fantastic. I would love to see it. But as a Liquid fan, as an NA fan, like you should have got this win. You should have
Yeah.
moved on to the second round and then got your ass whooped by FaZe. It would have made for an amazing storyline to have Twist going up against Liquid in a Katowice semifinal. Like there was just so much cool potential there. And once again, as an NA fan, we come out disappointed.
Well, and Yakindar says, I think it was last week or a couple weeks ago, he was saying he's unsure of his future and he might want to stay on Liquid.
Look, I liked him on the roster, and I thought they needed a player like him that could open up and create space and find holes in the defense. There's not many that do it as well as him. Personally, I would like to see him on Na'Vi, but I don't think that's going to happen because of the Rush. Like, I don't think they're going to buy a Russian player right now.
Not after the last one.
I think he's a perfect fit for Na'Vi, but I don't see that happening. So if he's not going to do that, I liked how they played. I didn't think they were terrible, and I just think they need some time. Like you would need time to practice, like you would with anybody else joining the team. And so, that was disappointing to see. There was also some questionable map picks for them. Like they probably should have never played Inferno, even though they won it. They hadn't played at all event with him, so you don't know how much practice they had there. So again, that was a 50-50 toss up because of the situation, but unfortunately it didn't go our way once again.
And speaking of needing time, that's what we all needed on Sunday for the finals, as it was a best of 5, which, everyone has their opinions on it. I feel like you either love it or you hate it. And we've even said before, like, if it's going to be, and I don't want to, like, bog down on the best of 5. I'm on the side of I hate it. I just think this took 7 hours. The finals took 7 hours from 9 a.m. our time to roughly 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a whole slate of NFL games, right? The morning or the first game and the afternoon game back to back. This took up that same amount of time. That's insane. That's absolutely insane to think we're trying to break into like a bigger market and then you're going to have a 7-hour finals. Unfortunately, people are never going to get to. I shouldn't say like people are watching it. Obviously,
people are watching.
I don't think,
of course.
I don't think the average person is sitting there for 7 hours and watching it. No. And I think that hurts it a little bit because this was probably the best finals. This was probably the best finals I've seen. I mean, in terms of how close and competitive it was, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe there's been better storylines for finals, but this was also a pretty good one, right? With number 1 and number 2, like it's a pretty good storyline. It's a rivalry that's building. It's still early in that rivalry, but nonetheless, competitive wise, it would be very hard pressed to find a BO5 that was more competitive.
And I'm not saying
from start to finish.
I'm not saying I wasn't entertained from start to finish because I could argue.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
I was, but mentally, I was not there for map 5. I just wasn't. After 7 hours, I mean, I'm getting up, I'm doing things, I'm leaving, I'm coming back. I am not glued in like I am for like a football game. I'm in it, right? If it's the Super Bowl, I'm in it. Even with teams that I don't root for, much like this, right? I'm not a Na'Vi or FaZe fan, so I'm watching it out of the love of the game. Dude, I can't watch the Super Bowl for 7 hours. That's just unrealistic, I think, for the majority of the people. And I'm just talking bigger picture here. Like you said, esports is all we hear is esports projected to be $1 billion, $1 trillion. It's going to be the biggest sport in the world, bigger than soccer, bigger than football in America. It's bigger, and like this is not stable. Like it's just. And I understand best of 5s is the best way to figure out who the better team is, right? There's no flukes in a best of 5. I truly believe that. There's no flukes. No one gets lucky in a best of 5. The best team wins. but you cannot have a 7-hour match. Like if they honestly
If you're
want
gonna
to
do
do
best of 5, you need to go to like MR12. Like,
that's
you need to go to
exactly
the
what I
old
was.
format.
That's exactly what I said in Discord. If you are going to do a best of 5, it needs to be first to 13.
Yeah.
Like you can't. You got to figure out a way to tweak it. The breaks. Do you need like a 5-10 minute break in between? Not even just maps, but halves. Like no, right?
I understand the break in between matches, right? 'Cause
Maps,
there's gotta
I
be a
understand.
come down period,
Right. But like
yeah,
if I have to sprint and take a piss in 60 seconds, so do the pros, right?
I mean, even going into overtime, like they have the 10-minute period, and it's like, nah, we don't need that.
We don't need this. We just let's guys,
go.
come on. Like let's get
Yeah,
it going.
I mean, I was the same way though. I was in and out. I couldn't watch
Yeah.
the whole thing consecutively. I did
It's
go
not-
back and
it's
watch
just not
replays to like not like highlights to not miss stuff. But who's sitting there for 7 hours at our age, at least, right? That's just
And again, for the people who said that, it's like I would argue like, but how much are you actually watching? You know, like are you in it?
What
like,
video game were you playing while that was on? Is what I, you
Right.
know, like there's no way.
like no
But,
one
okay.
has 7 hours worth of laundry.
So we've said our piece. We don't like best of 5, not preferred at least, if we're or tweak the format.
Not saying it wasn't amazing because it was amazing, but
amazing, absolutely amazing.
it would also have been amazing in 4 hours.
It would have. But I think we got everything we wanted out of this final. I mean, this was the most viewed event or match in this case for Counter-Strike outside of a major. I think it almost hit 1.2 million viewers concurrent at one point. Absolutely worth everyone's time to at least tune in and see this, because we saw, some of the best Counter. I mean, it felt like you were watching like truly the best teams we've seen. One built from the ground up in Navi, right? Like a lot of these players were acquired and had to grow onto this team. And then one bot, right? With FaZe, you adding Rops, adding Twist, Brokey, like these are not like homegrown characters, even Kerrigan. Like these are a group of guys that wanted to win that got together. And so you have these two distinct teams with these two styles, and man, they are so close to one another. And I sit there and think, like, what if Boomich wasn't an idiot, and completely screwed up everything? Like, Some Die Young or SETI, whatever you want to call him.
SDY.
Yeah, SDY.
I think is the preferred way to say it.
Yeah, I think it's Some Die Young is what it stands for.
That's what it stands for, but on broadcast they say SDY.
Yeah, so like if for him, unfortunately, I thought he played well, but I just wonder like what could have been when Navi was in Navi peak form,
Right.
And I think they can still improve, which is crazy to say. Simple was simple, and he did what he needed to do. He just needed a little bit more from the Perfecto or like the Bit that was at the major, right? Like Bit has also taken a step back, whether that's the Boomage transition or whatever it is, or he was just at a peak. He's taken a step back, but what they're able to do with this new quote unquote new lineup is still super impressive to me. And they gave us, they were a couple rounds away from finishing this off. They had a 5-0 lead in map 5. Unfortunately, for them, FaZe was able to rebound quickly and do that in the first half of the game and bring it back to an 8-7 half. But man, like the big names showed up at the big time, at the right times, I should say. Twist was not top fragging every map, it felt like on every map he had some of the most important kills at the most clutch times. On Nuke, dropping down from silo and popping electronic and then hopping into hut, and this was on round 50, match point or one of the last points for them. The 3K that he had on, what was it, Mirage, was just, it was just some of the, or Overpass, I'm sorry, is just some of the craziest plays I've seen, and it was awesome to see him doing well, awesome to see FaZe doing well. I did catch myself rooting for Navi. Did you have somebody you caught? Were you just enjoying, or were you rooting?
I really was just enjoying.
Okay.
Obviously, me and Twist are best friends now. Um, but it's tough for me to root against Navi. It's just I feel like Simple is always deservingly of it. And although yes, FaZe has ROPS and twists and every likable person on there, they're still FaZe at the end of the day.
That's the heartache, right, that we deal with FaZe is I love the players on this team, but I don't like the team.
And I feel like Counter-Strike faithfuls who only follow Counter-Strike probably don't understand where we're coming from on that one, but you just got to trust us on that. Like, they were like...
But it's different than the previous FaZe lineup when they did buy all the talent as well, but it was like the Nico, Guardian, Olaf. That lineup was super easy for me to hate, right? Absolutely despise that lineup and can never catch myself rooting for them. But in this scenario, although I was rooting for Navi, FaZe is such a likable team. I mean, I like Brokey because he's a player that did go through some hardship and held his own and now has become like an elite level talent. Rops, if you don't like Rops, you're weird to me. Like you're a weird person if you don't
give
like
me
Rops.
Give me a reason why you don't like Rops.
Yeah, tell me why you don't like him.
Because he do you hate the fact that he stuck out half of his career on mouse sports going absolutely nowhere? But
even if you're a mouse fan and you told me you didn't like Rops because he left, I would still think you're a POS. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's like, bro,
he gave you everything.
That would be like me as a Lions fan being like, fuck Matthew Stafford. How dare he leave? No, I get it. Like, I get it. If you're a mouse fan, you get it.
Twisk, I think, is like the 50-50, right?
Is
a lot
the
of
one
people
that,
like him.
Because I can understand, like, even after here, he said, like, I'm proud to represent NA. No. We established this many weeks ago. You're not NA anymore. You even talk shit about your own NA brethrens going over to Valorant? No. You took the easy way out, Twist. You took the easy way out. You went to EU.
I think Twist is liked by a majority of the community, but there is probably a large part of the NA fan base that is turned on him at the same time, right? Just for leaving in general.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, I hated to see him leave Liquid, like anybody else did. It made us a weaker region because he's that good, and he is. He's that guy, though.
The beauty of it, yes. Right now, I hate on him because I think he's an idiot. But if he joins an NA team, I'll love him. Like, boom, just like that. I would love him all over again.
You know what? He's not coming back, dude. He loves his team. You can truly see the enjoyment in him playing versus the dead face that you kind of saw towards the end of the Liquid run, right? Like there was no excitement or joy on that team. This team really seems to get along so well, even with the big personalities. They all kind of recognize they win as a unit, right? They need Brokey to be Brokey. They need Kerrigan even if he's not getting crazy high frag numbers, which he did do in some of these games, by the way. Kerrigan was not a bottom feeder. He made some great plays throughout the series. They have everybody just kind of doing their job, and when needed, you have those highlight plays from Twist and Rops, and I still think Rops is finding his way a little bit on this team, as scary as it is to say, with them winning a major, winning Katowice, winning Cologne. I still think they could get better than they are now. But they have moved back to first place. They deserve it. They are the number one in the world. They've clearly shown that over the last few months here. I mean, the run that they've been on. Somebody tweeted this out, and I completely agree, and I don't remember who it is, so I apologize. But this is the best run we have seen in Counter-Strike, including the Intel Grand Slam winners with Liquid and Navi doing that. And I say that because of the three iconic events this group has won recently, with the Major, Katowice, and now here in Cologne. That is chef's kiss, dude. It does not get better than that for a 3-trophy span. It doesn't matter what you tell me. That is incredible. And they're beating amazing teams to do this. And just not that long ago, we were looking at Navi as that team. FaZe is taken over in that number one spot. I think they are there to stay for the rest of the year, barring nothing crazy happening with this lineup. I mean, they are just in a very good place because I do think they're going to get better than they are now.
And they are one win away from the next Grand Slam.
Yeah, so I mean, then we could truly say this is probably the best run. They're going to do it. They could do it consecutively, right? Like with wins back to back to back to back, and I see that happening. Like it's going to be hard unless they slip up.
Right.
Like I don't think anybody's better
Like
talent wise. Who's better than them talent wise? Nobody, right?
I mean, Na'Vi is your only chance, right? I don't think you could look at any other team out there and go, oh yeah, you could take them one.
You look at player for player, right?
Right.
You put Simple at the top, then it's Rops and Twist. IGL goes to FaZe. Role players, I would take Brokey over any of the role players on Na'Vi, I think, right, at least right now. Like even Bit, because Bit's still so young in his career. The top two with Simple and Electronic, Twist and Rops. I mean, that's neck and neck. It's just
that way, and even just from a team wise, you're not trusting any other team other than Na'Vi to even have a chance at beating FaZe.
For sure. Like that is the finals matchup that we are going to see. Like we saw Liquid and Astralis there for a long time, although Astralis dominated that matchup. Like maybe we see that here. We're going to see these two teams compete in a lot of finals. But Na'Vi has got to be feeling that sting. Like this has to really hurt because now it's like a couple of events. It's their dynasty run is like they went from being in position to create a dynasty to seeing that slip away relatively quick.
Right. They had a year.
These are the events you need to win to make that dynasty run. And
they had a year, though. That year was good. But
the year was for Na'Vi, but the year is not a dynasty.
Right. No. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, you need at least, we can argue different.
Minimum 2 majors.
Minimum 2 majors.
Minimum 2 majors.
I'm talking.
Really, I think like you think of it in traditional sports, it's that third one that puts you in elite status.
Because even here, it's like 2 majors is a year, right? So it's like, well, that's still just a good year.
Yeah.
So speaking of majors, the next big thing coming up at this point, right? We're on a players break where, let's see, August. Well, I guess we got some ESL challengers. Fall Blast Premier Fall groups are coming up. I'm just looking at the schedule here. I know we're on
there's
a
nothing
break.
Major until, you could say the Fall Showdown, but that's not really. It's going to be the major. It's going to be Rio.
Major is the next big one in October. So maybe we'll have to come back. Maybe that's when we'll come back.
It is kind of light the next few months. Just looking at the schedule, like July is done.
Maybe
August,
we picked a good time to take a break.
Gonna have some pro league going on throughout that time, but I don't think.
You know what? Maybe we'll do a major preview. I would like to. I'd like to do a major preview, us in person again.
That'd be fun.
I'll bring the mixer. We'll kick it old school.
Let's just chill on the couch and do some talking.
Yep.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, because that's.
Although, when is the major? I'll tell you if that's
October.
Even. Okay, so maybe we'll be a month old. We might be able to. We might be going to your house, honestly.
Well, that works too.
I don't know if we're gonna want a 1-month-old cry in the background, and a wife probably coming in saying, "You know what? You're gonna need to stay in retirement. I need you to come outside." So maybe I need to get out of the house.
Right, maybe you will want to get out of the house.
So if we do that, we'll do that at your place probably.
So there you have it. Some IEM Cologne. Were there any other notes that we touched on? Moses talks funny. Highest viewed. Other than that,
the major is actually not even. The challenger stage is October 31st.
Oh,
the actual Rio event that we would.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Is November 5th.
Yeah, you know what? If you're a schedule maker, you don't do that. If you're a website, tell me when the main stuff starts. Okay, don't give me this.
Challengers teams get a sticker, so I think that's why,
you're right. You're right. If you get a sticker, you're in the major.
Technically, they count it as part of the major, but I think when we're talking about the major, we talk about at least the final 16. I don't need to talk about, final 24, 32, whatever.
Right. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what's going on. But IEM Cologne, incredible event. Hell of a way to kick off a player break, and. Yeah, we'll see what rosters get mixed up. Any crazy predictions? My prediction's G2 does something, right?
Well, so we Breaker, we'll go ahead and take this off E News. Maybe we just talk about this for a brief second since we're
Okay.
talking Counter-Strike. We know Alexi B is being shopped right now, right?
Right.
And we talked about that last episode that I think I mentioned it last episode that's the person that
You did.
I would be looking at this
props
point.
to you. You did say you would be looking at Alexi B getting moved.
Like he had Ence's lineup. They became better when they got snappy as IGL. G2 picks up Alexi B, loses Nexa and these guys, and they take a step back, right? They're not a competitive team anymore in that sense. So G2, obviously the big name. Yakindar's move is also more impactful because he brings more to a team. I think G2's situation is interesting because whoever they bring in could change the trajectory. I would hate for them to go back to Nico as the IGL. I hope they don't do that. But it is a possibility, and maybe they bring in another fragger to go along with him. But I mean, those are the two big storylines. Obviously, that leaves Liquid with an opening if Yakinder is not the guy. So interesting to see. We've seen them go the international route with this slot. The last two players, with Shocks previously and now Yakinder. Do they bring it back home to NA? Do they go outside? I think they should explore outside, to maybe stay very competitive. I'm interested in this for a different reason, but what does Stewie do, right? I don't think Stewie is a Stewie of old, but does he make that switch to Valorant?
Yeah, there's been talks of that.
Does he stay in Counter-Strike? I think that's a rather interesting
Does he go
storyline.
back to Liquid? Do you think there's any chance he goes back to Liquid?
No, absolutely not. I think there are bridges burnt there that are not openly talked about, like that. The stories haven't been revealed, but clearly that was not a healthy environment for anybody at that point in time, and both sides look happier, than they have at any point in time. So I think Stewie's days in Counter-Strike might be done. The last team, Tim, that I would tell you to really keep an eye out for is what the hell does Vitality do?
Yep, that was my pick. That was my pick.
I mean, what more can be given to a team to compete for tournament wins, right? They might not have to win them, but you got to be competing for them. And although they're sitting at 6th right now, they're good. They should be good enough to always stay top 10, right? But with the money that's being poured in that roster and the results that we have seen don't match up.
Right.
So what's going to happen there?
Don't get it twisted. Astralis is number 5 right now. They jumped up 6 spots after Cologne. Vitality is number 6. I don't know how much the players put in stock on world rankings, but that has to sting a little bit to those guys on Vitality because everyone was talking about how they won that trade. They won the roster shuffle. Like everyone was putting Vitality in the top 2-3 teams of the world at the time.
For sure. Although, you and me both really like the Blame F and Config pickup. Those were great pickups.
We did
if
like
you were
the
going to have to
pickups.
fill in a roster, those were fantastic. I think Zipnix and Farlig are the two players that were can we upgrade here to go from a good team back to a great team? Speaking of Astralis, what the hell is going to happen with Device?
I think Device will land on. See, I don't know. Astralis' uptick in this might have screwed Device going back to them. IEM Cologne might have been good enough for Astralis to be like, you know what? Maybe we see what we got here, right? If they're starting to get their stride in.
But then they play phase and they see where they're at really in the
to catch up to number
picture,
1.
right? Hey, yeah, we're competitive, but do we want to be competitive or do we want to win?
Right.
There's
we weren't close on Navi or phase. I think Device ends up on one of these two teams.
Of Vitality or Astralis?
Astralis, yep.
The problem
because he's going back because each one has his boys in it.
Vitality won't work because of Zywoo. Zywoo is still one of the best players in the world. Device is a to be determined, right? We don't know where he's at anymore in the game. We know that he's playing, he's playing on Face It. We've seen him at least casually playing,
right.
But what does that mean, right? When you're not practicing, what kind of reps are you actually getting? So as cool as it would be to see him on Vitality just because of the Dupree Magisk duo there, that's unlikely to happen. Astralis or NIP, I think, are the only logical landing spots. But like, how much does NIP want him back? You know, like,
I don't think at all. If I was Nip, I wouldn't touch it, to be honest with you.
but you can't say that. Obviously, they're not going to say anything publicly. They gotta, like, I think, bring him back in the fold at some point to at least sell him off, right?
Just
like,
to
what are you going
boost
to
his
sell him
stock
for?
a little
10 cents
bit?
on the dollar. You paid $1 million for him. You probably couldn't fetch half that back right now. Like, people are going to be a little wary of being like, oh yeah, here's 500K for, what are we getting? There's a lot of question marks going into this player break, because right now only 1 and 2 are viable to win any events, right? Cloud9 has fallen off. ENCE has slipped up, ever since the major. Astralis is, I think, peaking is what I would call this, right? Vitality has fallen off. G2 has fallen off. NIP without device is never going to, amount to anything. So, Heroic, another team that we always looked at as, oh, they're going to be super competitive and top 4 in every event that we've been watching, have also, since dropping Refresh, are nowhere to be seen. Outsiders is no longer top 10 with the Akinder being gone. So as great as this finals was, I'm nervous about teams 3 through 20 right now, is who's going to compete to take these spots from them. And right now it doesn't feel like anybody.
No, because like we said, for all these teams that even sniff the top 5, they quickly fall off with issues, right? Much like I think of a team like G2, right?
Yeah.
A team that we've talked endless amounts of times where we thought, okay, this time they're back. G2's gonna make it. Nope, G2's top 10 again.
With G2, you just know they're going to make another big play, though. That's what they do. That's what Carlos does, is they make moves. Monacy, huge signing. Obviously, Alexi B at the time, massive signing. So they're willing to do what needs to be done. And I'm glad they don't sit and wait. If it's like things are not going well with G2, they make a move.
They don't sit and wait because they've been at the cusp for so long. Like, there is no wait and see for G2's mentality at this point. Like, you have been so close. You have been in the discussion of a top 3 team now, what feels like for the last 2 years straight. And we just haven't seen it. So it's like, like, Carlos is even thinking, I'm one good roster move away from all of this clicking, And
the sad part was, like, he hit on the one that was unsure, right, in Monacy. Like, that was the one that was the question mark of, like, okay, is he going to be able to, like, play at this level? And it's like, oh, damn, he is, like, badass at this level. And now it's your IGL that seems to be holding you back. And so you can't waste Nico when he's at this level. You just can't waste that time. You have to make moves and be aggressive, or there's no point in having him and paying him what you're paying him. So I'm glad they're already exploring that option. But yeah, this is going to be a busy player break, needless to say. That could have been a whole segment on itself. So there you go, a little extra for everyone out there. But the player break's going to be fun. I think we'll see some news in the coming weeks, and we'll see if anyone can compete.
There you have it. All right, let's get in to some e-news and knock that out. And we'll call this one a day. We just discussed everything CS. For Valorant, we are in the semis for the Valorant Masters with Optic versus Paper Rex in the uppers and Fun Plus Phoenix versus Fanatics in the lowers.
Optic. And again, we'll come back and like recap this a week from now once it's all over.
Yep. Yeah, we'll discuss everything there when it's over as we're splitting up shows. But Optic is looking really good. We are starting to hear teams now getting word back from Riot as if they made it into partners or not, or at least the first team's being told. So Shopify Rebellion denied Valorant sponsorship. Shopify is a good org in the sense of like we've seen the guy from Shopify like single-handedly save StarCraft 2's events and things like that. They've said that they're still going to support Valorant even despite not being accepted into the league. We'll see for how long. Like that all sounds good on paper until you start seeing the money you're losing. But so we're seeing that SOAR officially announced that they're backing out of Valorant after not getting partnership. So we're starting to see the dominoes fall a little bit. We've been talking about it what seems like since the beginning of Valorant. Like, we knew this day was going to come. We're starting to see teams here and back now. You're going to start seeing more and more teams back out. You know,
and the ones that we're hearing right now are also like, we don't want you to think that they're like surprising that they didn't make it. We did not think these teams were going to get.
And that's what I was about to say.
It's just we just know that, hey, these are the first teams that are at least announcing that.
Like, I saw some people like try to be like, oh, Shopify didn't get in. Like, what the hell, right? Like, guys, if you honestly thought Shopify Rebellion stood a chance getting into the league, like, God bless you, because your optimism is through the roof. Like, unfortunately,
we're rooting for them as an org.
Of course, we're
in partnership right now.
We're a players podcast. We want to see the players. We want to see org succeed. But there's got to be a minor league somewhere, right?
It's different if they had been like a top 5 team for the last 2 years,
right?
Then it would have been a little bit more shocking to hear that news. But they haven't been overly competitive either. So
right. And last but not least, for Valorant, Riot bans teams from walking out with country flags. Thoughts?
I mean, it's weird. Like, I don't understand why you would do. I guess they don't want somebody coming out with a Russian flag, but like, which Russian player is going to come out with a Russian flag right now?
And that's what I don't like. Some
weird.
people like were trying to justify it. I saw online saying like, it makes sense in the climate we're in. What climate are we in? The climate I'm in is everyone knows who the bad guy is. So like, I don't think there's any issue. Plus, if you're telling me you don't get jacked up when you see the red, white, and blue and 50 stars walk out on stage, you're lying. Like, when you see those players walk out with their respective country flags, I get jacked.
It's a pride thing. It's just weird that you would be like, hey, don't do this. It's like just
such a big thing in
esports,
right? Is to represent. So
what they should have said is like, everyone can come out with whatever flag they want,
like
unless it's a Russian flag.
Right.
I would have even been fine with them just being like clearly direct with that.
Hey,
like, hey,
Russians,
sorry.
and if you're upset about it, maybe not invade other countries. Sorry about your luck.
Yeah.
Wait until the next event when the war's over. So there's that. COD, we're gonna talk more Call of Duty next week, but just because obviously it happened, LA Thieves won major number 4, so we'll talk more about that though next episode. So on Wednesday night, as of right now when we have it scheduled. In Overwatch 2, I played the beta, so I think that's wrapped up now, but my friends who I haven't spoken to in a long time asked if I wanted to play, so I got suckered into spending $40 on it so I could get in, and I know I'm going to play. You were going
to get it anyway, though.
And that's why I got it, because I think you get access to the first 2 battle passes and some other stuff, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get it, so I might as well do it now when I get more perks for it. I gotta admit, though, the game ain't it. The game ain't it.
You know me. I'm okay with generally spending money on video games, right? I'm not even going to.
Well, now for you, it's going to be free to play because you are going to wait until the game's officially out, and you already own Overwatch.
I'm not going to like buy it for the single player stuff or any of that.
I know, but I was never going to make you buy the single player stuff.
That's true.
I'm not even willing to convince you to come play free to play with me at this point, though. Because I know it's just not.
I'm gonna waste the gigabyte space.
Yeah, like, I mean, even for me, I'm sitting there. We're a 4-stack, queued up with a tank, a DPS, and 2 healers, and we're still. Now, this sounds like a first world problem. Waiting like 3 to 4 minutes for a match, which I understand it's still beta and it was a semi-closed beta, and the player base might not be as high as it is. Okay, I get that. But if I'm waiting even 3 to 4 minutes, which doesn't seem like that long, that's an eternity waiting for a match, in my opinion.
With 1 DPS slot empty.
Yeah, you're looking for 1 person. Now,
I guess if you were waiting for a tank maybe or something.
And I think they're also like trying to find you like another 4-stack or some shit like that. But it's like, dudes, I
gotta ask, were you tanking, healing, DPS? What were you?
I was mixing it up. The competitive drive is dead in that game for me, so I'll queue up as I just want to play. Right?
Yeah.
If I could get a guaranteed fast queue every time, I'd probably be running DPS. But because when I did play Overwatch 1, I was an off tank. So it's like my skills don't translate very well to solo tanking as I used to. Because I was never like the main tank. I was an off tank. But I was off DPS, but I digress because I'm not waiting 4 minutes to play a game.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
It's just not gonna happen. Not when we can get on Counter-Strike and queue up with, like, in Counter-Strike, if a game takes longer than 30 seconds, we're like restarting the queue because something is wrong.
We feel like something's off.
So it's just no one has time for that. Stay hard to Gears of War esports as it is officially dead. They tweeted.
I mean,
it's been
this
dead.
is what happens when you make
but-
our F tier and rankings, unfortunately. Like, this should be a forewarning to anybody that goes and looks at our rankings. If you're in F tier, there's a reason we're putting you there. And unfortunately, Gears of War had a good run for what it was. But like the last 5+ years have been non-existent for years.
It's
I think
been
once
so
Optic
irrelevant.
left was like the writing on the wall, because that was the only brand keeping it alive at that point. And so unfortunately, its time has come. It was time.
It was time, buddy. It was time. In League of Legends news, Riot has ruled TSM owner Andy Din. Riot believes there was a pattern. So now, backstory on this. Remember, TSM called out him for player abuse and staff abuse, pretty much.
Yep.
So
Then they did their own investigation and found no wrongdoing.
Yeah, TSM looked into it. They said, don't worry about this, guys. We'll look into this. And found nothing wrong. Riot then said, well, we'll do our own. Thanks for the help, but we'll send our own guys. And they found a pattern of bad behavior towards staff and players, fining them $75,000. He must complete sensitivity training, and there will be regular check-ins with players and staffs from an independent source. So I have two things to say about this. If Riot is saying you're misbehaving and treating people poorly, it's fucked up.
Yeah.
B, if I was a player, this is the org I would want to sign for right now. Because you now have that CEO by the balls.
Like he can't say
anytime he tries to lip up at me, I'd be like, I will report this.
Anytime he started saying something, I would just like take out a notepad.
Yep.
Even if I'm not writing, I would
Whip
just
up
pull
my
out a
phone and
notepad.
start recording and be like, you want to continue that thought, Andy? You want to continue that thought? This is the
It's still a
best case
slap on the
scenario.
wrist, though. Ultimately, like
Yeah,
this 75K, they just got like $1 billion from
The
FPX or whatever that
crypto,
cryptocurrency that has crashed, and so
and then the sensitivity training, we all know what that is. Like
he said he was gonna do that anyway, so it's not like it was an extra thing. And what is sensitivity training? You go talk to a therapist for a couple of hours and say you're feeling better? Like, come on.
Now, in Fortnite news, I think this was already broken, but they released what they were going to look like. The Goku and Vegeta skins, and there's a couple more coming for Dragon Ball. Done. You got my money on that.
Tim and I will be rolling around in full anime skins
we'll
because
be
I got the
weaving it up.
Naruto skins. Like, we'll be like total. I'm gonna change my pick on Twitter. I think.
Bro.
I think it's time.
What would
we have to?
That was... People laugh at us that we're making fun of people with anime avatars, but that was before our time. You have to understand. That was...
Yeah.
Look, when Anuj and I grew up, you were still considered a virgin for liking anime. Nowadays, you get laid for liking anime. So
yeah.
You kids got
world.
nothing to be sad about, all right? In FGC news, Phantom 2022 Down Under in Australia. IBDW defeats Zany in the finals. And Anuj, you know how Mango said he was going to take a break and semi-retire after Summit?
Yeah, he played.
You know how you get a guy out of retirement? Tell him he's going to go to Australia.
That is pretty cool, though. I'd do that too. I don't blame
He did really
him.
well. He got third place. So
I
go
don't blame
figure,
him.
like when he's having fun again, and I think that's Mango's element, like Mango has to be having fun at this point, which, look, if you've been playing a game for as long as he has, I would imagine you'd be the same. But yeah, I just thought it was funny where he's like, guys, I'm going to take an extended break from Melee and just chill out with the family. And then boom, Australia tournament comes up. He's flying over halfway across the world. It's like,
He makes more money on his stream than he does playing comp, so it's like okay to go back whenever he wants.
yeah, I mean,
know?
look, yes, if you're going to unretire to go to play an Australian tournament, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
In other news, Sony officially buys Bungie, so that deal is official. EA has announced the new Skate title, so speaking of us in high school, what a game. Skate was announced. It will be on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC with crossplay. No release date, still early development. Look, you know, I'm not going to get too excited. Not going to get too upset. They did in the announcement when you highlight microtransactions, it's never a good sign, especially when it's coming from EA, but you know it's going to be there at this point. At this point, it's just EA has had such a bad track record lately. I don't know. I mean, you're excited, but at the same time, I feel like everyone knows at this point, like, it's EA.
At least with Skate, it's going to be like kind of hard to mess it up.
Yeah. I mean, it is free to play too. Like Wolf also puts in like cross progression, which is awesome.
Yep.
Which I think any game should be cross progression at this point if you have cross platform. Free to play. It has everything to get me excited, but also terrified at the same time. Like microtransactions, free to play, cross-platform. You're like, oh, that's all awesome, but it also could be awful.
What they didn't announce was Game Pass. Wonder if it's going to be a Game Pass game or not.
Well, it's free to play. It doesn't matter.
Is it free to play?
It's free to play.
Oh, they did announce free to play. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, I would assume, WoW Alpha started for Dragonflight. I know you and I aren't big Alpha guys, but it looks cool.
The fun thing here is, like, we know it's coming out this year. They've kind of stated that several times now. It seems like a crazy late start for an alpha with how much work generally needs to be done. We usually see this like 4 months ago, just based on like previous timelines. But I'm okay with them pushing it out because this expansion is so god awful that I'm excited for whatever's next. I'll take anything to get us out of Shadowlands.
Yeah. Warframe sequel was announced called Soulframe. Did you ever play Warframe?
I did. I mean, it was free to play, so like I jumped in and kind of I messed around with it, but probably under like 15-20 hours of total gameplay.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. As obviously we were big Destiny people, and then when we got bored of that, we jumped into Warframe to see what the hype was about. And it's not that it wasn't bad, but it just
Destiny was better for us.
Yeah, it just it just had that feeling of a free to play game, if you know what I'm talking about.
No, it did for sure. It looked like a free to play. Like, not like the graphics were even bad. It just all had that free to play kind of vibe when you were in there.
Right. So either way, though, I know the community. I know it has a huge community, though. So
massive.
Good to see that they're getting a sequel. And
we'll probably try the sequel just to see what it is.
Why not? And sad news for all of our friends over with 100 Thieves, TSM, and a handful of other companies, but 100 Thieves especially laid off a handful of people. So it's just the nature of the beast. We've talked about it a number of times on this show. We're an esports podcast that loves everything esports, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer on this, but I mean, I would.
No one's ever safe, unfortunately.
I would love to say I was surprised, right? Like, but you see these
layoffs. The only
thing
that's surprising is, like, with these two companies, like, the amount of money that's been funneled into these two companies in particular is pretty insane. So the fact that they're the ones doing layoffs, a little bit surprising to me. Like, we saw Optic and Envy, they did layoffs right when they did the merger. They obviously cut a decent amount of staff because they had from both sides for content creation and things like that. For TSM, like, TSM just got one of the biggest paydays of all time with their FPX sponsorship deal, and then we know what kind of money has been raised by 100 Thieves. So these were two, 100 Thieves even started a gaming company, if I'm not mistaken, here recently. So it's just weird that it's these two. Like, if they're the ones doing layoffs, I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, it's mainly, I think, content creators, producers, things like that. But again, yeah, it's like, I wish I could say I was surprised, but at this point, not so much. It's just the nature of the beast. But all right, that'll do it for this episode of The Center Ring, episode 392. It's done. It's in the books. Thank you so much for listening. Whether you listened to the whole darn thing or skipped around, love you all the same. We will be back again later this week. I think we'll got to look at our schedule. Wednesday night, we'll be live. So new episode out Thursday, talking Call of Duty. First episode of the Resident Evil show on Netflix, the new one, live action, right?
Yeah.
Live action Resident Evil. We're watching that, so we're going to talk that. So do your homework, watch it, have fun with it, and that's all for the next one. So until then, for Anuj, well, follow us on Twitter, of course. Like us, review us on Spotify and iTunes, all that fun stuff. And our Discord. So until next time, for Anuj, I'm Tim. Love you. Goodbye. All right. Everyone in chat. Wolf, thank you for stopping by as always.
I don't mind saying this while we're still live. I'm looking at the NA rankings for Counter-Strike right now.
Uh-huh.
A couple things stand out to me. Naf looks like the Unabomber in his picture. Like, exactly what I would like.
Hello.
Exactly what the Unabomber looks like.
Right.
Here's the rankings for NA. Liquid number 1, Complexity number 2, Gammon,
Complexity.
Gladiators.
I mean, already you've thrown me off. Like, Complexity.
Well, it gets worse. It's not even gaming. Gammon, Gladiators number 3. Nobody on that team you would recognize in terms of names. Number 4 is EG.PA. It is not the EG roster you would be thinking of. It's DJ, John G, Viz, some other randoms. EGCD, which is also not the EG that you would be thinking of. 5 players you would have never heard of. 6 Bad News Bears. 7 Brazen. 8 Mythic. 9 Axolot. 10 Timberman. That is your NA rankings. Complexity has 258 points, which obviously puts them in, world ranking status, not bad. Complexity has 31. 258 points puts you at number 14. 31
Who's even
points.
on Complexity anymore?
Huh?
Who's on Complexity anymore? Is Rush still on there?
Complexity is no. Complexity is JT, Floppy, Grim, Junior, and Fang.
Oh, Rush is on EG.
Yeah, Russia's on. Well,
Oh, right.
No, was on EG.
Yeah, was on EG. He was benched recently, right?
Yeah. But the EG lineup that we know is not even in the top. They're not ranked anymore because they lost Rush and Stewie.
Right. Boy, that just puts it into perspective, though, doesn't it? Where you're like, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it can't. I don't know. I don't know what you do. I don't know how Valorant has a stable NA way. It can't just be because it's newer, It's like it's just got to be the infrastructure of CS. Everything is overseas now. So it's just to try to build a team up and do all of that. It's just too difficult, I guess. I don't know. But damn, that really does put a perspective on how far behind NA is. Because it's like even like Complexity or EG, the other 2 teams that you would even consider in the conversation for NA, like you wouldn't think any of them are all of a sudden going to pop up and be relevant,
So as I mentioned, Complexity was, or not Complexity, Liquid was at 256 points, and then Complexity was at 37. If you go to EU, to get to 37 points, you have to go down to number 24.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
It's horrendous. Not good. Not good. But all right. I'm gonna go so I can edit this episode. Everyone in chat, Wolf, love you. We'll be back, like I said. So we're gonna be doing 2 episodes here for the next couple of weeks to get to 400 a little sooner than scheduled. So we will be back probably Wednesday night here. And go from there. So yeah. All right, I'm killing the stream so I can get to editing.
Love you guys.